you're thinking about moving here to Bellingham, I'm going to tell you the things that most real estate videos won't. Not just the highlight reels or the perfect summer footage, the real version. My name is Aldo. I'm a local realtor here in Bellingham and Whatcom County, and I grew up here in the city of Bellingham, and now I help families relocate here every single week. So in this video, I'm walking you through the real pros, the real cons of what it's like living here in Bellingham, Washington. So by the end of this video, you should feel clear, not sold, just very clear on whether this place actually fits your lifestyle or not. So let's start with the cons because that's what most people avoid, and that's the number one thing that is searched on Google. So the number one con about living here in Bellingham is that it is very expensive relative to local wages. So Bellingham is a lifestyle-driven market and not a job-driven market. So home prices are strong compared to local income levels. We don't have a huge corporate job base. Commuting to Seattle daily is very unrealistic. It takes about 90 minutes just to get there with any traffic. And living here in Bellingham works best if you're bringing in income with you, whether it's a remote job, equity, retirement, or any sort of relocation package. This is a place you choose intentionally. It's not the cheapest option here in Washington. Now, to elaborate on this, and what do I mean by a lifestyle-driven market and not a job-driven one? Well, we don't have a lot of jobs here. Like I said, we don't have big corporate jobs. And for a lot of people who are commuting to Seattle, it's a strain on their lifestyle. I have a friend right now who just had to go back to working at Amazon 2 to 3 days from in office, and he has to leave at 5 in the morning, maybe 5:30 depending on traffic, goes there, works for a couple hours, drives home about 1 p.m. to finish off work. So it does get a little strenuous on your lifestyle. Now, for those of you that are thinking about home prices here in Bellingham, the average home price is $850,000 here in Bellingham. The average wage is $70,000 to $75,000 in Bellingham as well. So that is a 12 times difference. So the difference between your average income to the average sold price is 12 times. In some areas, in even bigger markets like Seattle, San Francisco, some of those are about 9 times difference. So when you're talking about a smaller market here in Bellingham, you're starting to see that, okay, yes, Bellingham is a very expensive place to be, but like I said earlier, if you do have a work from home job, or if you're bringing some relocation package, or if you already have a job that you're getting hired and it pays well in Bellingham, that is a plus for you. For those of you that are looking at moving to Bellingham and you're thinking, oh, I'm just gonna find a job there and I'll buy a house. Well, you have to think again, because that might not be the case. If you're looking at leaving your job somewhere else, maybe in Texas, Colorado, Idaho, wherever that may be, and you wanna leave and try to find that same job here, it might just not happen. So the con number 2 about Bellingham, well, our winters still kind of suck, and the gray season is real. So November through March can feel long, the shorter daylight hours, more overcast than heavy rain. It's always usually that more than the rain. So it's gonna be a big adjustment for people who are coming from sunny states like Arizona or Texas, Florida. You have to kind of embrace that cozy season. It's just part of the rhythm here. And you have to pretty much balance it verbally. So summers are incredible. They're long daylights, mild temperatures, and they're not really crazy in humidity for those of you that are coming from the south. Now, where people really get our winters wrong and where they always see the gloom and doom, yes, our rain, you can't do anything about the rain, right? Okay, obviously you can't do anything about any weather, but it's not so much the rain. You can be outside and it might be a little drizzle, but it's really the darkness that will pursue on you and will kind of get you that seasonal depression. Like I said, some of those states like California, Arizona, Florida, wherever you're coming from, even Colorado, any places that are getting 250 to 300 over that of days of sunlight, you're gonna come out here and your first winter may be rough. It may not be, but maybe that second or third actually will catch up to you. Now, if you watched any of my last videos, the sun rises maybe about 8:30 in the morning, and then it'll set and be dark by 4 p.m., maybe 4:30. And sometimes that sunset hour isn't until maybe 4:15, but because we have that overcast and those dark skies, you're gonna see 3:30 comes around 4 o'clock. Well, that light's not coming through some of those dark clouds, and it makes you feel like you're really getting a darkness for the full day. Now, I want to say this because I feel like living here in Bellingham is definitely like a drug, because we all live for that next sunny day. And the next sunny day could be tomorrow, could be 7 days from now during the winter time, but once we get that sunlight, it is amazing. We feel like Superman when we're out in the in space and all the rays come and you just get rejuvenated and you feel so good. And even now, by making this video, it's the beginning of February and it's 55 degrees outside, 52 degrees outside, and it's partly sunny and it is amazing. So yes, we live for those sunny days. Our winters aren't very good. Don't worry too much about snow. Every other year or so we'll get snow, but hey, you know what? I think once summer comes, you'll know why you moved here. So the third con is that it is a slower, quieter sort of energy here in Bellingham. So this could also be a good thing. So we don't have a lot of big nightlife scenes, stores close earlier, the less hustle culture, development happens a lot slower. You definitely have a smaller downtown compared to major cities like San Francisco, Seattle, or even Vancouver, BC. So for some people, that's frustrating. And for others, that's exactly the point of why you want to move here to Bellingham. So if you are moving here from a larger city, just know you're not going to be able to go out at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. and just go out to dinner. There are some restaurants that are open till that late, but it's very far from few. And for those of you that are wanting more nightlife and you're wanting a lot more of that club scene, or just rather having things open a lot later, you're not gonna really find that here. Luckily, we do have Vancouver, BC about an hour away, Seattle about an hour and a half or so away. So if you really want that, go away for a weekend, go and have some fun down there, but you're really not gonna find that here, which again, pro or con, depending on who you are and what you wanna do here in Bellingham. Now for the food culture, again, restaurants will close a little bit earlier. The ability of shopping is also really small. Yes, we're getting some things here and there, but we're not gonna have big shopping like Nordstrom's. We might have, yes, we're gonna have our Targets or our Costco's or Old Navy, and we do have a mall here, of course. It's a good sized city, but we're not gonna have a huge plethora of things, and online shopping is definitely one that people do here in Bellingham. Now for our fourth con, and this is probably the one thing I get asked about all the time, and that is visible homelessness in certain areas. So like many West Coast cities, there is a visible homelessness sort of situation happening here in our area. So it's primarily concentrated downtown and near some certain areas that's kind of more commercialized as well. So not evenly spread out throughout the whole city. So most residential neighborhoods feel calm and livable and it's safe, and you're not gonna really feel that, but you will feel it in some other areas. Now, when I made my pros and cons video a couple of years ago, my very first original one, there was a big problem about this. And now, fast forward 3-4 years later, a lot of these situations are being cleaned up. A lot of the campsites are being cleaned up. Again, this video is not for me to go dive deep into political issues and what happens after that. Just know a lot of the encampment sites have been cleaned up. Yes, they're being moved elsewhere, but Bellingham, the homeless and drug situation has gotten a lot better. Again, you're only gonna see it in some spots. If you go downtown, you're gonna see it in some areas, and you might not even see it. Maybe when it starts to get a little bit darker out, that's kind of when you'll start seeing it. But I was just in downtown the other day and I loved it. I felt like Bellingham downtown was what it was between 2018 and 2021, where everything was thriving. People were out, they're having lunch, they're just walking, and it was so vibrant, and I just absolutely love it. And I will be doing a video about what downtown like is here in Bellingham as soon as the weather gets a little bit better. Now let's get into the good, the pros about living here in Bellingham. And the number one pro that I absolutely love, especially after making all these videos and talking to a lot of clients that I did help move here, is the community. So who else better than to ask the people I've helped who moved here on what they thought about the people here? Obviously, I have an opinion because I've lived here my whole life, but it was really eye-opening on what they have said. And they have told me essentially this, is that neighbors actually talk to each other, right? We have a strong small business culture, farmers markets, school events, it's a big local pride, and we're hyper local community here in Bellingham and in Whatcom County. So people choose to live here, they don't just end up here. And a lot of the people you meet here are very approachable. So if you're on a walk, you're on a bike ride, you're at a brewery, whatever you're doing, people will say hi to you. Don't get me wrong, there's gonna be some people or some areas in Whatcom County where they will welcome you in, but they don't necessarily want to be your friend, but they're glad you're here. And people are people or whatsoever. But majority of people here in Bellingham will say hi to you, they'll wave to you, they'll smile to you. I don't want to say it's necessarily as nice of people as it is down in the south, but people here genuinely care about you. If you're coming from big cities, don't be surprised when people are asking questions about you and your life and essentially more personal questions, because people want to know about you. They don't just want to do surface level sort of questions. They don't care so much about your job, but they will ask, but they want to know what you do for fun, what drives you, what kind of things are what makes you essentially. And this is one thing that people have asked me. It's like, Aldo, you ask such great questions and I feel like you're really wanting to get to know us. And I said, well, yeah, what else am I going to talk about? And they said, well, a lot of people down in LA or in Florida, all they do is just ask me surface level questions about my job or how much money I make and all these sort of things. But here in our local area, we want to get to know who you are, because essentially a lot of people here, they just want to be friends with you. Now for the second pro about living here in Bellingham, it's the lifestyle density. So the mountains, the ocean access in the same day is pretty crazy. You can hike within minutes, skiing at Mount Baker, paddleboarding, boating, sunset walks. You really have kind of a small vacation here for you in Bellingham. Now it's hard for me to explain all this here without you guys actually being here, but there is so much to do in Bellingham. And whether it's not in Bellingham per se, you can go to Mount Baker, you can go up to Canada, you can go up to Whistler, it's a 3-hour drive, you can go to Leavenworth, that's also a 3-hour drive. There's so many things to do here outside, and you don't really vacation here, you live here, and that's what brings people here, is the lifestyle. And for those of you that are like, well, I don't really paddleboard, I don't do all the skiing and stuff, that's okay. My wife and I, we really don't do all that stuff either. We'll go on the water, and we love going on the boat and doing some of those more water sort of activities. But if you don't do that, being outside, and especially in the spring through fall, and going to a brewery, going on a walk, and it's being 9 p.m. and it's sunny outside, or even 10 p.m. and it's warm in those hot summer days where you're out and it's 10 p.m. and it's almost 70 degrees outside, maybe a light little sweater. It is amazing, and there's just so much for you guys to do, whether it is actual activities, sports related or not. It's just more being outside and gardening or doing whatever it is with yourself, your spouse, your friends, whatever that might be. It's really hard to explain in a YouTube video, but once you get here, you really experience what it's like living here in the Pacific Northwest. And those for you that already live here, well, great, we live on the water. And it's really hard to find anywhere else where you're not going to spend $2-3 million to just be able to live here in the water, or right next to the water in anywhere in the US. And also keep in mind, very few cities offer this without extreme traffic or extreme heat. We're not in Seattle, and we're not in the South where it's super humid, and we have all of this. In the population, Bellingham is 100,000, Whatcom County about 200,000 people. So for us, there might be a little bit of traffic. For those of you that are coming in, you'll probably laugh at what we think traffic really is. Now, the third pro about living here in Bellingham is the pace of life. You're gonna have shorter commutes, less congestion, easier daily rhythm, and more time outside and more time with family or your friends. Now, for those of you that are coming from larger areas, it probably will feel like an exhale and just more sense of fresh air. Now, you have to remember though that with having a smaller community and having smaller commutes and less congestion, there will be less to do, like I mentioned earlier. So this could also be kind of a pro, or it could also be a con depending on where you're coming from. But you're definitely moving to a smaller area, and the pace of life is pretty chill. So the pace of life here is low key. You're not gonna have people always in that high stress sort of mentality. You will find people here, a bunch of millennials, a bunch of retired people here as well. And overall, the pace of life is much, much slower. We'll have a couple of red lights you might have to sit through. Everything just moves slower. You may not get your coffee right away, but you will be able to sit down at a restaurant and be able to go in and eat. And you're not gonna be able to be waiting in line, maybe here or there, but everything is just a slower pace here in Bellingham. So pro number 4 is the long-term desirability and the retirement appeal here in Bellingham. So obviously we're surrounded by beautiful water, mountains, and Canada. So if you're looking at your next 10 to 15 years, Bellingham will be the ideal place for you to move to. And if you're looking at retiring here, we have a large retirement community and people definitely will move from wherever to be here because of pretty much everything that I've mentioned, especially all the pros, and definitely just a slower pace, downsizing, they can afford more wherever they're coming from, they're just downsizing. And we do have really good healthcare facilities here in Bellingham. So whether you're needing a surgeon, dentist, orthopedics, whatever it may be, we definitely have most of it. And if it's something very serious, then you'll be able to go down to Seattle and you'll be able to have all of that healthcare down there as well. Obviously not readily accessible, but whatever we have here in Bellingham, I think you're gonna be pleased because we do have a really strong healthcare system here. So those are the pros and cons, but here, let me end with the honest truth. So Bellingham isn't perfect, obviously nowhere is. It's expensive, the winters are gray, it's slower, and yes, there are visible challenges in Bellingham in certain areas. But for the right person, the lifestyle, the community, and the long-term stability make it very, very incredible and very rewarding. So this isn't about convincing you to move here to Bellingham, it's about helping you make the right move. So just not any move, because obviously we don't want you to move here and not like it and have to go back. If you're seriously consider relocating here to Bellingham, reach out to us, give me a call, shoot me a text. I'll give you the honest answer about whether Bellingham fits what you're actually looking for, because that's what a real guide does. So all my information will be down here, down below. Give us a call, shoot us a text or an email. That's my personal cell phone number, so it'll go right to my phone. Until next time, guys, my name is Aldo, local realtor here in Bellingham, and I'll see you next time.